You don't have what it takes to be me. Oh yeah? What's that supposed to be? Great story. An amazing world. Amazing characters. Super cool combat. Decisions that matter. And so much more. And you know what? So do I. I have also great worlds to explore, amazing characters. My combat, if I am allowed to say that in my position, is even better. I also have a female Turian that people can romance, no matter what their player character looks like. And my character creator is also better. Looks like you and I aren't that different. Yeah, well, people will still like me more. Deal with it. You know what? I don't care. As long as there's a few people out there who like me for what I am, I'm fine with that. Hello, ladies, gentlemen, everything in between, and neither. Today I want to talk about Mass Effect Andromeda and how it's basically a love letter to the Mass Effect series. So before I get started, feel free to follow me on my social media on Instagram and Twitter at CommanderNici, just like my channel name. And now let's get into the video. From a, let's say, consumer standpoint, Ryder's journey already started at a huge disadvantage, because Ryder had some pretty big shoes to fill. Footsteps of the Commander Shepard, savior of the Citadel, first human Spectre. How can you top that as a 22-year-old? That's unfair, but also a fresh start and a chance to get like a new perspective. And maybe you can say, oh, I didn't warm up to the characters. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. Mass Effect Andromeda is just one game. The Mass Effect series is 3 games. How can you say that you... I mean, he is great from the beginning. Let's be real. But let's go away from the squad mates. Let's take Joker for example. He's great, he's fun, even in the first game, but you really start to appreciate him over the course of all 3 games. He's there in every game, and he's your pilot. And it's the sum of all 3 games that make Joker such a cool side character that many fans love a lot, for a reason. And then you have Liara, and in the first game she's just a kid, basically. Especially in Asari terms. Like, she's like, what, 218 or something? And given how old Asaris can get, that actually really makes her some sort of child. And she doesn't really grow into a proper character until like the 2nd game, where you barely see her unless you play the Shadow Broker DLC. And then she is this really cool, fully formed character in the 3rd game. She takes all 3 games to develop. Of course you can't like the Andromeda characters as much as the characters of the original trilogy. Of course, but that's an unfair comparison if you ask me. Because you have 3 games time to grow and like the characters and grow with them and see their character growth, and in Mass Effect Andromeda you have like, what, about 10 hours or so. I didn't look at how long to beat, how long an Andromeda playthrough usually goes, but there's not much room for lots of character growth if you only have 1 game to cover and only 1 thing to kinda solve. And yeah, as I said, that's an unfair disadvantage against Mass Effect Andromeda, and I think that's something that should be thought about when critiquing the game compared to the original trilogy. So let's talk about Mass Effect Andromeda, shall we? And before I start, I said it once, I'll say it another time. I will keep repeating it. I will die on that hill. Mass Effect Andromeda wasn't as bad as people make it out to be. It deserves maybe only probably about like half the shit it got. And I mean, of course, yes, there were the bugs and the glitches and the really weird facial animation, and while that is valid criticism, yes, of course, I'm not stupid. I'm not defending something that is objectively bad. Like, in this day and age with that many computer capacities of generating stuff, certain things shouldn't happen. Check out my rant about hair clipping through things over here. There's stuff that really bothers me, but overall, Mass Effect Andromeda is actually a pretty great and fun game. And the thing is, of course, it was memed to death. My face is really tired from all those memes. But that's the thing. Those memes were kinda mean-spirited, if you ask me. Like, if you take any other game, let's say maybe for example Skyrim or any other Bethesda game for that matter, the memes about the glitches are like, oh, look at it, there's a cow stuck on the roof and it's spinning in circles at who knows what speed. Isn't that fun and adorable? And that's annoying. Like, jokes and memes about the glitches in Mass Effect Andromeda feel so harsh and mean. And then there's jokes about other glitches and bugs in games, and it's always like, ah, look at it. Look at the game being the game. And I think that's unfair. And so I just really want to like point out all the things that I enjoy about Mass Effect Andromeda, and want to say something that might be a little, I don't want to say controversial, but hear me out. I think Mass Effect Andromeda is actually a love letter to the Mass Effect series, and everyone feels love differently, and many people will say about things they love, different people will say different things, and maybe that's where people see things in Andromeda that they don't like, or other people enjoy those things. And that's the thing. If we go by my theory that Mass Effect Andromeda is a love letter to the Mass Effect series, of course not everyone loves the same things about the series, and therefore there's differences in what should be elevated and pointed out and or made different. And I wanna get into that, so yeah. Next segment. First of all, one thing that I like about Mass Effect Andromeda, and it's probably a really weird thing to like about it, is that the Ryder twins and I were roughly the same age when I first played the game. And given a little bit of creative freedom, in pretty similar points of our lives, I at the time was still looking for an apprenticeship, trying to figure out what to do with my life, and the Ryder twins, depending on which one you choose to play as, were suddenly given this big role and had to figure out as they went and had to navigate life, which suddenly became really different from what they've known. And I think that kinda resonated with me, being the same age as the protagonist, and also them being like really young and inexperienced and still having to figure out stuff that spoke to me. Where in comparison, Shepard was already this big hero figure even before the start of the game. They already had like, and depending on what background you choose, so many adventures and hardships and stuff that they lived through and lived to tell the tale. And while that's great and amazing and something that definitely makes for a good story, having the other side basically growing with the character is something special and really cool. And another thing that I really liked was that they stepped away from the Paragon and Renegade system and made it more nuanced, and that the conversations were tonally different and not like really coded as good and bad, even though Renegade isn't necessarily bad, but just maybe a bit questionable. And I like that. I like that Mass Effect Andromeda choose to make the dialogue a little bit different, and especially that you could clearly see, hey, I'm flirting with this character. Like, that's a huge plus. I had my troubles in the original Mass Effect series by just wanting to be nice to a character, and suddenly it's all like talking to Liara and she's like, oh, you and Caden, huh? And I'm like, no, not me and Caden. I want to spare myself for Garrus. What the fuck are you talking about? You know, and with Mass Effect Andromeda you don't really run into those problems because you have a whole separate dialogue option for the romance, and that's great, that's amazing, and I really hope that that will be kept up in the future of Mass Effect or BioWare games. That's a really cool thing that I like, and I like that we get to see a whole new galaxy. That's cool. Things that I love about Mass Effect Andromeda. The combat is so much fun. The jump jets, okay. Playing as a Vanguard, sadly, unfortunately, isn't as fun as it used to be in Mass Effect 3. I'll give the criticism to that. But otherwise, the jump jets, the ability to mix and match your abilities however you want, that's amazing and so much fun. Like, you could technically, like, do whatever you want and get away with it. Incendiary infiltrator. Make yourself invisible. Sneak up on someone and set them on fire. That's fun. Or shit. What about an infiltrating Vanguard? Make yourself invisible and then BAM! Nova in your face. That would be so much fun. I need to try that. I need to try that. Oh my god. I really like how you can choose and mix and match all the abilities. Like, that's so unique and fun, and the jump jets. Holy fuck, is it amazing and fun to sprint and dodge and jump around with them. Also, the character creator, especially after they added the ability that you can have whatever hairstyle you want to have. I can have my rider look so much like me. I mean, not with my current hairstyle, but when I had shorter hair on the top, I had a hairstyle that was previously, before that one patch, only available for a male rider. But then they added it and I could actually look like me, and that's amazing, and that's something that even with the Legendary Edition, Mass Effect, the original Mass Effect trilogy never gave to me, so there's the bonus points to Mass Effect Andromeda. The combat is, as I said, so much fun. The character creator is better. I get to romance a female Turian. What more could I wish for? Garrus is my favorite romance, and normally I always pick the gay option because I am gay, a lesbian. But Liara is amazing, don't get me wrong. And then the only actually good, sweet and cute lesbian romance that you get is in the third game. I don't want to wait that long. And they made Jarl bi as he was supposed to be. That's cool, and I like the exploring, I like the nomad. There's so many things that I like about Andromeda that, unfortunately, the original trilogy doesn't have. And the characters, we cannot forget the characters. Like I spoke about what amazes me about Ryder so much enough. Let's talk about the crew and maybe some NPCs, non-squad mates that are on a Tempest. Also, like, can we talk about the Pathfinder cabin on the Tempest? Like, how fucking pretty is that room? Damn! To be a Pathfinder on the Tempest, the dream! So, let's talk characters. Let's start with the oldest. Probably Drac. What a cool ass Krogan. I mean, all Krogans are cool, except for Reef, but we don't talk about him right now. Maybe never. But Drac is so cool, like, he's basically like a grandpa, and he's so cool, and when he calls Ryder kid, that's sweet, and I really enjoy him. He's real fun and really cool, and I don't want to say that I like him more than Grunt and Rex, but it's pretty damn close. Like, Drac is definitely one of the coolest squad mates ever. Next up, we've got Cora, and Cora is a special case. I mean, she's great. She's really struggling with her not belonging, and I think that's kind of cool to have a character be like that. Like, but I don't know what else to say about her. Like, her entire arc is about her tie with the Asaris since she trained with them, and in the game it's really I don't want to say hard to like her, but I don't know, she's just not up my, hey, this is an interesting character chart, but still she's pretty cool, especially if you read Mass Effect Andromeda Initiation, the book. Their Cora's so cool and sweet, and I really like her in the book, and I wish we could have a little bit more of book Cora in the game. Like, there she's definitely great, and I really like her there, and maybe I have to read more between the lines, replay the game, maybe I see Cora there, the Cora from the book, and that will be great. Next I want to talk about Jarl, because he's a new alien. That's interesting and so cool. The Angara are such an interesting race, and I really hope we can see them again in a future Andromeda game, or maybe a combination of the original series and Mass Effect Andromeda, which is speculated by some fans. Like, Jarl is really interesting, and seeing him warm up to the crew and to the new aliens and to Ryder, it's amazing, and I really enjoy seeing that, since in the original Mass Effect series we only have like, they are used to each other for like 30 years now, so that's no big issue. But new aliens, that's cool and interesting. Next up we have Vetra, my space wife. A Turian squad mate. A female Turian squad mate. And like, that's enough. That's like, phew, amazing. Also, that female Turian squad mate is a romance option for both riders. And that's amazing. I love Vetra so much. She's my favorite. Don't tell him, but I like her even more than Garrus. And yeah, Vetra is really cool, and I like that she's like super tough and like cool, like as most Turians are, and then there is this whole soft side when she's with Ryder and with her sister Sid, and it's really sweet, and I enjoy that a lot. Like, you can't even imagine how much I enjoy Vetra as a character. I wish I could have more content with her. Just give me Andromeda 2 and let me climb rocks on Kadara again, or somewhere else. Adventures with Vetra, please. BioWare, I need more Vetra in my life. Next up, we've got PB, and PB is interesting. Like, imagine if Liara and Tali had a kid, and that kid had definitely too much caffeine. That's PB. And that's amazing. I have a little PB here. She's cute. PB is great. I think she could be annoying to some people, but like, who with a lot of energy doesn't know that problem? Like, PB is great. She's weird and maybe sometimes a little bit too spontaneous. Talking about the whole emergency landing in a fucking volcano. What the fuck? But otherwise, PB is cool and definitely a likable character and so fun. Like, her and Vetra are like my go-to squad mates to take on missions because it's really fun. Next we've got Liam, and Liam is a good boy. But that's about it. Like, he really cares about the initiative and the goals to settle down, and sometimes he brings problems, and like, that's a little bit I don't know, but Liam is also a character I probably don't give enough attention to. But and that's probably because Vetra is right there, and that's like the only character I care about. No, that's wrong. I care about the other characters, but like, Vetra is like on this pedestal, and she's great. And next is, I think that's about all the squad mates, and now I want to talk a little bit about the non-squad mates, crew members. Jill is cool. Like, #1 guy, really cool engineer for the Tempest. I really like his little rivalry with Callow, and Callow is really great too. Like, a Solarian pilot, and he likes gossiping, and I really like talking to Callow whenever I go up to choose a new destination to travel to. I always like take my time to talk to Callow because it's always interesting what he has to say. He's sweet, and so is Suvi. I mean, she can be a little bit awkward sometimes, but her character is really interesting because she has like a lot of faith in like God, but is also a scientist, and normally you would say like, how can that go hand in hand? But look at Suvi. It works, and she's great and sweet, and I'm really glad that she is an exclusively romanceable character for female writers. So that's great. Jill is, by the way, an exclusively romanceable character for male writers. So we've got those options cemented in. It's great. Go representation. It still could be better. Let's be real here, but I think we are on a pretty good path, and that's all that matters. Let's be real here. We are on a good path. We are pathfinders, and yeah, the characters are great and interesting. There's like some believable douchebags and everything that a good story needs, and yes, the characters are something that I love too. And I think now it's actually time to really step into the points where I want to talk about why exactly Mass Effect Andromeda is essentially a love letter to the series. And now I want to really take a moment to look at all the hidden or not so hidden references and parallels that we can find in Mass Effect Andromeda, which is really why I think it's actually a love letter to the original trilogy. So, first of all, first contact. In the original trilogy, it's, well, not ancient history, but history. And to get a chance at experiencing first contact firsthand, that's cool. And something that I think would also, for the original trilogy, a good candidate for a prequel. Like, you can't do anything wrong. I mean, you can, but it shouldn't be that hard to make things right. And I think that's cool, like, seeing first contact and having that, it is something really cool and worth mentioning as a huge plus point for Andromeda. Then we have the Angara and the whole mystery about them. Like, what happens to the Protheans? Well, they got turned into collectors. Rings a bell? Yeah, we saw the same thing happening to the Angara, which were turned into cat. And I think that's not copying. It's not copying. I mean, it is, but I think actually it's a great parallel. I mean, it's in the same universe. Why not do something like this? A little callback of, hey, you know what happened to those guys? Surprise! We're doing that again. But now you're seeing the whole process, and it's not pretty. So you know what you're fighting for. And I think I think that's a really interesting step to take, to have like that specific thing repeated, that you fight the cat and secretly they were big were Angara before. And then there's like all the little nods to the original trilogy, like on Kadara you can meet the sister of one of the one and only Conrad Werner. And meeting his sister was so hilarious, and not gonna lie, I think she has got a few bolts more loose than her brother. Yes, that's possible. And then you have his first name is fleeting me right now, but you have the head of the security, Kandros. Yes, that should ring a bell. He is like a cousin or something of Nareen Kandros, who we met in the Omega DLC. Really great nod. I was really surprised to hear that name. It was really great. We also have like a journalist subplot weaved into Andromeda, and for once the journalist is actually kind of okay. She I like the subplot of the journalist. And then we have some Cerberus people that came to Andromeda and worked on the Overlord project, and that story is also really interesting, and I really like that it's there. It's a great nod again to the series. And then there's obviously in the memories of Alec Ryder that you over time unlock. You see that Alec and Liara talked about the initiative program, and then you actually talk to, you talk to Garrus's dad, and you have mentions of Shepard and Garrus, and if I remember right, the Reaper thread is actually kind of referenced in the memory that you unlock in Alec Ryder's cabin, and it's really great, and I really like those little nods and references. Like Kadara is basically Omega, and Sloane Kelly is essentially a human area, and Vetra is a female Garrus, and you've got Drag, who's your stand-in cool Krogan. He leans more towards to Rex with the more fatherly attitude, but he's also like kinda fun to talk to, like Grunt is. And then you have PB, who's basically just a really caffeinated Liara. It's great. And then you have Callow, who is a brilliant pilot, and I wonder what would happen if Callow and Joker had met, and if they would have met, who would have been the better pilot? And it's great. I really like those little nods and references. And fun fact, when you as Ryder put on N7 armor and go to the first outpost you made to Prodromos, there's actually a guy giving you shit for it, like, you don't deserve to wear that thing. And it's hilarious that Ryder gets shit for wearing N7 armor, while Mass Effect Andromeda gets shit for being a Mass Effect game. Oh, the irony. But I like that. It's really cool. Also, the exploration in the Nomad is definitely cool, and a much better alternative to driving the Mako around. Yes, I'm a defender of the bad Mako controls, but the Nomad is actually fun to travel with, and I really enjoy it, and the banter of the squad has gotten so much better. I almost like to think of the Andromeda game as more or less one entire Citadel DLC, because you've got all those little side quests and things happening while you have like a main plot. And oh my god, let's talk about the movie evening subplot side mission quest series. It's amazing and I really enjoy it a lot. And look, I even have the screenshot of the whole crew sitting there watching the movie on my calendar for this month, because I really enjoy it a lot. And it's really similar to the photo that gets taken at the end of the Citadel DLC with Shepard and all his friends he made along all the free games, and that's like another parallel I really enjoy. Gosh, I love this whole series so much. I could talk forever about it. And that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So let's talk about the Mass Effect series in general, because oh my god, do I fucking love it so much. The characters are amazing, the world is amazing, like I love space. Look at my Star Wars poster that I framed, and the Normandy, and also like my obsession with Mass Effect. And it's just really great. And I like that you can make basically your own characters. I like that it's pretty much choice based, because I love choice based games. Look at me loving Life is Strange. Garrus is amazing. Joker, Tally. The game is fun to play with the combat, the abilities. You can basically be some kind of space wizard with the biotics and have almost no use of firearms at all. You can make it a straight up shooter if you want. There is so much possibilities in the playstyle alone, and that's amazing. And unless you use a lot of creativity, something you don't find a lot in other games, if you ask me and my experience. And it's just really great. I like the exploring and the more or less open world. The story is cool, and it's just, I really like it, you know. And it's really similar to Life is Strange, that on the one hand I don't want it to ever end, like please let it go on forever. And on the other hand, I'm really afraid that the more and more it goes on and on, it will someday turn bad, and I don't want that. Of course, there's always the good games of the series that I have played, the original trilogy and Andromeda. Yes, I said and Andromeda. But what if there's a Mass Effect 4? And it's amazing. It suddenly ties in the mainline trilogy with Andromeda, and it builds a bridge, and then we get Andromeda 2, and it's amazing too. And suddenly people start to appreciate it because of the bridge that was built. But what if there's suddenly a new game and it's kinda just a cash grab because, hey, the IP works and people love it, why not make more? And I don't want that to happen. Like, I'm afraid it could taint the good view on the things that are already there and good. Like with some shows, the first few seasons are amazing and then it turns ridiculous in a bad way. Like you suddenly need a new and bigger evil and suddenly it just messes with your suspension of disbelief. Like, of course I can accept and imagine the story having like ancient alien machine gods, but if they suddenly say like, yo, how about this, and it's some super out of place plot point that you just think, where did that come from? And like there's good surprises like Archangel taking off his helmet and suddenly it's Garrus. Like that was the biggest surprise and one of my favorite moments and memories with the Mass Effect series, because before I played it myself I only ever experienced the game through a classmate, friend, buddy, and he convinced me that after I've fallen in love with Garrus in Mass Effect 1 that they replaced him with some random Turian named Archangel, and I was like so pissed, like how could they take away Garrus from me? And then there was the reveal and surprise, Archangel is Garrus, and that was just such a good moment and something I always like to think back to whenever I talk and think about the Mass Effect series, because that moment was just really great. And the Mass Effect series has a lot of great moments. For example, when you're on Tuchanka in Mass Effect 3 and help finally cure the genophage, and Rex says, "From this day on, the name Shepard will mean hero to all Krogan." And then he makes Shepard like an honorary Krogan and call him brother. And also Legion with his whole, does this unit have a soul? Like, that's just way too beautiful. And in the Garrus romance, it's like, "Forgive me this insubordination, but your boyfriend has an order for you. Come back alive. It'd be an awful empty galaxy without you." Like, what the fuck? How can some line in some video game be so beautiful when there's like poetry and stuff out there? And then video games are often seen as like, oh, it's just a game and the kids are playing it too much, but there's stories being told and it's an art form, and look at the dialogue and the characters. How often have I cried because of Mass Effect? Like scenes that I've played 1, 2, 3 many times, and they still hit me right here in my heart and make me cry, because I'm not ready to let go of Legion when he sacrifices himself to upload the code to help the Gav fight the Reapers. How often have I cried playing the Overlord DLC when there's finally peace for the guy. Mass Effect is a game series full of emotions and amazing stories, amazing characters, and if you ask me, that has been continued with Andromeda. Of course, it couldn't form attachments as strong as it did with the trilogy, but there's still some stuff in Andromeda that really hits me right where it should, and I think that's something really worth mentioning. So yeah, I love Mass Effect. So yeah, this was my N7-day video dedicated again to Mass Effect. Like, what else to do for this date? Leave a like if you enjoyed this, if you love Mass Effect just like I do. Comment down below what is your favorite thing about the Mass Effect universe. What do you like about Andromeda? What do you like about the Mass Effect trilogy? What is your favorite character class to play? Renegade, Paragon, where do you line up? Tell me down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. Feel free to follow me on my social media on Instagram and Twitter at CommanderNici. Yes, the CommanderNici URL of everything that I have online actually does come from my love to the Mass Effect series. So follow me there. Instagram, Twitter, as I said, just like my channel name. And yes, until I figured out what I can upload next, watch my other stuff. Bye.